So I've been watching AEW for the last like 8 months, and in those 8 months I've already gathered some of the wrestlers that I've already felt kindred to, like, oh, I love these guys, and all these other guys I don't really care about. You know, I'm fans of these wrestlers, and I certainly don't care about these other wrestlers that appear in AEW Dark or Elevation. Now, why do a video about this? Well, I've done a video talking about Full Gear, and I want my channel to, I guess, be more about me, talking more about the things I like. And one of the things I like is professional wrestling. Like, ever since 2006, I've been watching wrestling. My parents accidentally showed it to me, even though they don't like me watching it. And ever since, I've just been into wrestling. I had a waiting period, basically, when I was a teenager, when I was in high school, because no one watched wrestling, which is weird because, you know, we're Hispanic, and you would think that us Hispanics will watch like Lucha Libre and be fans of Rey Mysterio, but they were all acting cool and none of them liked watching wrestling. So I was in that boat where, oh, I guess I'm not gonna watch wrestling anymore. And ever since high school, I felt more positive about watching wrestling. Not like as a fan, because some people are toxic, because some people root for AEW, some people root for WWE. There's that one guy that roots for Impact. It's all a matter of opinion, and in this video, I'm going to be talking about my 5 AEW wrestlers of 2021. Now, I came back to watching wrestling when CM Punk came to AEW. I would occasionally watch, you know, those wrestling YouTube channels, but I finally got myself to sit down and watch an episode of Dynamite because of CM Punk. So today, I'll be talking about my 5 AEW wrestlers that I think were the best or are the best in AEW in the year 2021. So let's get this started.
I don't sleep cause my head's on fire. I hate creeps and I hate...
Okay, so number 5 is Darby Allin. I think CM Punk said it in a promo that if he was 15 or 12, he would have been a fan of Darby Allin, and I totally agree with him. Darby Allin has that Jeff Hardy type of charisma where he doesn't even really have to try and talk to be charismatic. Starting the year off as AEW TNT champion and ending it off with a good rivalry with MJF has really made me a fan of Darby Allin. His look, his presentation made me a fan of his, and every time he does a high-flying dive, it looks like he's trying to kill someone, unlike some people that wait like 10 minutes and make it really fake and question the validity of whatever high dive they're gonna do. Darby Allin just goes full throttle and throws himself into the opponent even though they probably weren't even looking. That's what I like about Darby Allin. I like his look, I like his high-flying abilities, I liked him as TNT champion. When I was watching it, I looked back at some of his matches and they were all really good. I liked him against Miro, I liked him against MJF, and that's why I think Darby Allin is my 5th favorite wrestler in AEW. Alright, so I'm probably going to be breaking my rules here, but I think all of the Death Triangle have done really good in 2021. So let's start with Pac. Pac or Adrian Neville really never got a good shot in the WWE. Sure, he was Cruiserweight champion and did really good in NXT, but his main roster run kind of left people wanting more. And him in AEW right now is doing what he should have been doing in WWE. Occasionally tag teaming with the Lucha Brothers and having a run, like a rivalry with Kenny Omega, really boosted him up. And he has that look, like that muscular look compared to him in NXT. Sure, it does look like he took some extra vitamins, but he looks really cool as a wrestler. He does those high diving moves pretty good sometimes if he never botches, but a lot of people botch, so it's okay. His matches against Kenny Omega and even Cody Rhodes, they're great. I just love myself some Pac, and the Lucha Brothers are amazing. Not to mention that those guys are wrestling in AAA. Those guys always put bangers wherever they are, while it's fighting Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks and the Elite, fighting FTR in AAA and in AEW. Those guys never disappoint, and that's why I think the Death Triangle should be in number 4.
I hear the battle cry. Another sky. The one wing eagle fly.
In Winter is Coming 2020, Kenny Omega beats Jon Moxley to become AEW World Champion. Almost holding that title for 1 year really shows how much Kenny Omega has carried AEW on his back. And not just AEW, AAA and Impact as well. Kenny Omega literally made people tune into AAA where they probably don't know any Spanish, and he also made them tune into Impact Pro Wrestling where they haven't been watching that since what, 2016? Having matches against Phoenix, Pac, Orange Cassidy, Christian Cage, and Adam Page, all when Kenny Omega was suffering an injury. I swear this guy's like a wrestling machine. People have their opinion on Kenny Omega. I saw a little bit of Kenny Omega in NJPW. Sure, there were some moments where I agree he was the best wrestler in the world, and there were some moments where I think he's overhyped. I think in 2021, Kenny Omega has proven himself to be world champion. Number 2, CM Punk. The reason why I started this list to begin with and why I'm tuning into AEW. Being a fan of CM Punk was kind of hard after 2014. He leaves WWE and professes that he never wants to be in professional wrestling ever again. Goes into UFC, loses, goes into acting, does okay, and finally in 2021 joins AEW and comes back to wrestling after 7 long years. Guy that has been a part of my childhood. I definitely wanted to check this out, and just watching that rampage of him coming into Chicago just sent goosebumps to me every time I watched that video. I was always nodding in excitement because of my love of CM Punk. Always been a fan of CM Punk when he was tag teaming with Kofi Kingston, when he was a straight edge cult leader, when he was the voice of the voiceless, when he became popular in 2011 after that one pipe bomb to John Cena and the rest of the WWE. I was there on air watching that pipe bomb. I remember seeing that. Goosebumps. I was like, holy shit, they're breaking the fourth wall. This made a lot of wrestling fans come back after being exploited and being burnt out of watching wrestling, especially after the Attitude and Ruthless Aggression era. CM Punk made them come back to say, hey, we're still wrestling and we're still good. And that's why I think CM Punk is the second best wrestler in AEW. So before going into number 1, here are a few honorable mentions that I wanted to give out, mainly because I was lazy.
You better not cool up, cause the world is cold, but I'm on.
No, I'm just kidding. No. Number 1 is Bryan Danielson. So you might be thinking, if I'm such a big fan of CM Punk, why is Bryan Danielson number 1? Well, the thing is, these guys are pretty similar if you think about it. Both are popular main eventers. They're really good at talking, they're really good at wrestling, and they bring in that crowd from WWE. The difference is CM Punk didn't really do that much when he started, while Daniel Bryan admittedly went in with a banger in Grand Slam wrestling Kenny Omega. Like, he just immediately shows up and gives us a 5 out of 5 star match out of nowhere in his debut in AEW. Like, I'm so speechless, I can't even talk straight. Aside from his stuff that he was doing in WWE, that was still great because he was giving Roman Reigns some of his best matches yet. He proves that he's still good in the ring by wrestling jobbers, openers, mid-carders, and main eventers. He doesn't care, he just wants to kick some guy's head in. And right now he's currently having a great feud with Hangman Adam Page for the AEW World Championship. And honestly, I'm ready for this, especially after seeing Winter's Coming 2021, and those guys were wrestling for 1 whole hour. I swear, these guys were putting in bangers, were putting in their best efforts to keep this match entertaining, and it was entertaining. And yes, you can say, well, that's Adam Page, the world champion. I think it's Brian Danielson, whatever you might call him. It was him. He was our ring general, and he is my favorite AEW wrestler in 2021. So those are my picks for the best wrestlers in AEW for 2021. That's pretty much it. You guys can put it in the comments, like, share, subscribe, please. Because if you don't subscribe, I'm gonna have to send in Hook, and nobody wants Hook.